Hi, I'm James Davis with Softtech Engineering. Today, we're going to discuss the Profiler Valve Diagnostic System. In particular, we're going to talk about how to attach to and hook onto a control valve, which is a linear single acting. Now, the software at this time and the hardware will hook onto any type of valve in any manufacturer. So, what's nice about this is anything that is a single acting, the way we're hooking on will work with basically any valve in the market today. Okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to look at a single acting linear valve. In this case, we have a Fisher valve. It could be any linear single acting valve. At this point, we are going to want to attach to this. We're going to attach with the hardware, using the hardware first. The way we hook onto the valve is through the stem. The stem is where the final element, which is the control valve, we're going to read its final element. This, with the stem motion, if the valve is working well, or if it's not working well, this we will be able to pick up and see any problems with the valve. So the most important thing about testing is the stem movement. Is it moving or is it not? With our system and how accurate it is, we can sample 1,000 samples per second, and our resolution on our data acquisition is a 16-bit. So that gives us a high resolution and a high sample rates. So to begin, we want to hook on. We're going to use our fixture from our fixture kit. We will talk about a fixture kit in another video, but in this case, we're going to talk about how to attach onto the stem. So as we do this, we will go directly onto the stem, and we will tighten a nut right here, and that will snug up. And then once we take up the slack there, we will tighten our stem. So now we're directly on the stem, and we have basically no movement on this. It is nice and tight. Next, we're going to take our position sensor. Our position sensor can resolve down to less than 1/2,000th of an inch. And so that's basically taking a piece of paper and slicing it 6 or 8 times, depending on the thickness of it. So this is so important where the plug and the seat touch. We can see how much it compresses, and we can see if the plug and the seat are aligned. So by reading high samples and high resolution, we have that ability, okay? So I'm going to attach this onto part of our fixture kit here. And once you have this set up once, you can test all day long with this same setup when you're testing on. So we will hook on and set a couple of screws here, and we will snug this on here to make sure that it's nice and tight. This gives us the ability to make a lot of adjustments and make sure that we are set up correctly. We have another little connection that we'll add to this. We'll put it to the screw here, and we will tighten this all the way down till it's flush. So this way we have the ability to keep anything that is loose. So that's nice and tight. We have that ability now. This gives us the ability to move this around, slide it up and down, so we have a lot of adjustment, okay? So we hook onto the stem first. Very important to know where we're going to attach. Then we will attach directly onto the actuator. Very quick, very simple, very easy. Then we will slide this up. We will snug it on here. We'll attach, and then we will line this up. This is a 3/4 inch stroke. We have the setting up, so we've got it set up so we have a linear motion this direction and a linear motion this direction, so it pulls exactly straight. This way we'll be able to get our stroke length. In this case, it's a 3/4 inch stroke. So we have enough pull in the string pot. This is a 6-inch string pot for anything that is under 6-inch stroke, okay? So that is how we attach directly on. Just takes a couple of minutes. If you already have this attachment already set up, you can be on and off valve very quickly, okay? I'm going to spin this around so that we can now see the front. We have taken the cover off of our valve. I'm going to show you if in this case there's a gauge here. In some cases they'll have gauges. In other cases, many manufacturers or most end users are starting to go to quick connects and go away from the gauges. A lot of times these gauges are very small, they break, they leak, so they're taking these out and going to these quick connects. Makes it very easy. So in our fixture kit, we have the ability, we have a adapter. This can go into our gauge, part of our fixture kit, and then we can loosen up that gauge and we can take the gauge out, okay? So in that case, we have the ability to put the gauge in and we have the ability to put the gauge in and out in that respect. In this case, we're going to use what we call our quick connects. Our pressure sensors, we have 4 of them. We have them for basically a supply pressure. So we're going to plug this into our supply. And that's for our regulator. We want to check our regulator, make sure it's working correctly. How accurate is it? Is it full of debris, oil, whatever it may be? After it's been used a while, this can stop the regulator from regulating properly or make sure that it's not regulating smooth, okay? So that's our supply pressure. We make sure that that supply pressure is always hooked up. Very, very important. In this case, we're going to read one actuator pressure. So we see this actuator pressure right here. We come down here and we will put our quick connect in. Now, this is very important. If you want to get on and off valves very quickly, quick connects are the way to go. They don't leak, and we can also put the cover. The cover will actually fit back over the top of this when we take these pressure sensors out, and therefore they're protected, okay? So very quick, very easy to set up. This way we have our position sensor, our top, our actuator pressure, which is going to our actuator. Now, if this is an air to close, we'd have the pressure would come to the top, or air to open. It doesn't matter. The red sensor is always the one that we use. So in this case, if we had a double acting actuator and not a single acting, we'd have our green one, which would go into this port. We will show this later on in another video. We also have a smaller pressure sensor, which is a 30 psi. This will check I to P. So when we get into non-digital positioners, our I to P is very important. It is basically the brains of the positioner, so that we have that ability to check I to Ps and calibrate them and verify that they're working correctly. So we'll do this in another video later on, okay? So at this point, we have everything set up. We are going to now come over to our software. Our computer has started. Now, one thing to look at is this is all USB powered. So we are going to plug in our USB ports. They're onto the side. We can plug into the side of our computer, and we have our USB ports. What's nice about this is we have them color-coded so that if we have 2 different ports on our data acquisition box, we can be able to troubleshoot if there's any issues. So what we'll do next is we're going to look at our interface box. Our interface box has 2 4-to-20 outputs. We're only going to be using one. We have 2 position inputs. We have multiple inputs as we do this. So we are going to be able to attach to our signal, our position, and also to all of our pressure sensors that we are going to be using. So the first thing that we do is we make sure that we are going to attach the computer is running. We want the computer to be running. We will then plug in the bottom port. It doesn't matter which cable you use. Plug in the bottom port, and you'll hear, if the sound is on your computer, you'll hear it connect, very similar to like a USB thumb drive, okay? Then you'll see a green blinking light. That means that that's our data acquisition card, and it's blinking and making sure that we have power and it's communicating. The next one is our signal conditioning card that Softtech Engineering makes. We've developed that to power all of our sensors and our positioner. So out in the field, you can use this computer on battery. You don't have to hook into any other power. You can go up to 10 hours on one battery charge. It's very important. So that's basically how we'll hook this on, okay? Now, I'm going to attach it here so that you can see how it attaches, and we'll have it sitting there next to it. So we have clips on here to make sure that it's easily next to the valve while we hook up the rest of the cables, okay? Next, we're going to look at our cabling. What we have done here to make it simple is all of our cables are wired the same, but yet they have different color codes. For training purposes, this makes it very easy that the red pressure sensor will go to the red cable, which will go to the red connector on the box. So for training, we basically make it very easy for training purposes. So color code, so we're going to attach into our number 1 port for our 4 to 20 signal. We're going to attach to our number 1 port for our pressure. We're going to attach to our position for our string pot reading, and we're going to attach our supply pressure. Okay, now we have 2 extra ones. One is for double acting green, the other one is for yellow, which is our I to P. On a digital positioner, we have no ability to read the I to P. So in that case, we are not going to be reading those sensors, but for easeability, we're going to just leave them plugged in so that they are not in the way. Okay, so we're going to plug it all in. So basically it looks just like this when you hook up. Now, on the other side of this, we will hook onto our cables. Those 2 cables there we're not going to use, so we're just going to use these. So one thing to look at is when we're attaching or hooking onto a pressure sensor, it has an index on it. So these indexes will make it so that it slides in and aligns properly each time. So what we can do is we can slide it in, turn it, and when it drops in, this will turn and snap. You'll hear a snap, and that way this thing won't come off, okay? So this gives us the ability, and so we'll undo it, take that one off. Now that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna hook onto our red pressure sensor. We're gonna twist that until it snaps on. We are then going to grab our gray one. And again, gray on gray, red on red. Okay, so that takes care of our pressure sensors. Now on the back side of here, we're going to hook onto our position sensor the same way, snap that on, and then we're going to hook our 4 to 20 signal, which will now power, and we're going to have control of this positioner and this valve. So we're going to go into the red or the plus side of the positioner. We're going to go to the black or the negative side of the positioner. And now we have basically everything hooked up as we need at this point. Okay, so we have that ability to have all of that hooked up and ready to go. So this gives us a very simple and easy way to attach on to all the valves out in the field. At this point, we have everything attached and hooking on. We will then come to our profiler icon, and we will double click on that icon, and then the software will start. Once the software starts, you will see another green light on top. Once that loads, the green light will now be active solid green. That means there's power to all the sensors and power to our positioner. So with that being said, we have now hooked on to attach to a single acting linear valve, and this is going to be very similar to any other valve manufacturer for single acting linear. So I'd like to basically, if you have any questions, please respond to any of our emails or contact us through our website and we can discuss this more. Thank you.